problem slide in your pitch deck, the real goal of it is to answer the question, what is the problem that you're solving, right? Pretty clear. But what I see a lot of people do is just use kind of broad examples that you can't really picture in your mind and just don't really connect and aren't specific. So what I always encourage founders to do is use big, urgent, painful examples, right? Powerful, picturable examples. So if you look at this as a problem, food waste costs restaurants thousands per year. Okay, well, what does that mean? Does that mean 999,000 or does that mean, 1,000, right? So there's quite a difference when you say thousands. So you need to look at scale and be able to picture that. Versus this one, which is food waste costs restaurant owners an average of $83,000 per year, enough to hire full-time staff members for 1 year. So not only are you giving very specific numbers inside of that problem, but then you're also comparing it to the scale, right? Is 83,000 a lot? I don't know. I'm not a restaurant owner. But if I put that in the scale and say 2 full-time staff members for a year, that's amazing. And I could even take that further and say, to a giant restaurant, maybe 2 full-time staff is not a lot. But if I said, small restaurants, that's 50% of their staff or something like that. So you want to make sure that you're using specific numbers because they're more believable. Obviously, you're not going to make up a number there, but make it very specific because people tend to believe those specific numbers better than just thousands. And then tie that to a specific scale. Well, what does that $83,828 actually mean to the market right here? So this is where you just create a lot of specificity there geared towards the market. Then we get to the solution slide, which is, again, pretty simple. How will this problem be solved? But the key differentiator is the solution is not your product. If you set your product up as a hero right out of the gate as the solution, they're going to argue the product instead of arguing the concept. And so I can explain that here. If you look at Tesla, they're selling, the concept is electric vehicles. So their solution to climate change or to, renewable energy and things like that are electric vehicles as the solution. They just happen to be best positioned to deliver that electric vehicle. So it's the concept is electric vehicle. Instacart is grocery delivery, right, to your house. And that's the concept. Instacart just happens to be best positioned to do that. Is Tesla the only one that makes electric vehicles? No. Instacart, they're all trying to solve with the similar concept. That's not unique or novel. But it's who's best positioned to do that. Have you done that before? What is your team like? How are you able to actually deliver that solution? Same with Airbnb as a rental marketplace. They just happen to be the best position to do that. Then you're defending out of the gate, you're defending electric vehicles as the solution, which a lot of investors are not going to argue with you that renewable energy can be solved with electric vehicles. There might be some, but it's a lot harder to argue that than say, well, Tesla's the solution. Well, what do you mean by that, right? So you're trying to head off those objections and those arguments so you're on the offense and not on the defense. Then, optionally, and this is what I see a lot of founders miss, is sometimes there's a problem with the solution. So it's a meta problem. So it's the problem with the solution that you're proposing. How hard is it to actually solve this problem? So if you look at Instacart on this slide, they could say, hey, grocery delivery is our solution, but there's a problem with grocery delivery because it's not as easy as it seems. There's picky shoppers, there's complex processes, there's cost variability, all of these things. And you can even see down here, like the New York Times is saying, a bunch of other grocery stores tried to do this, but shut down months later with millions in losses. Instacart has figured that out. They've cracked the code on this. So this isn't necessary, but it helps you even further address any potential objections that are coming up. And then you get to the peak of the presentation, which is how does the product work? What is it, right? Show it to me, but don't lose the story. A lot of times, and I've done this before, where I just completely lose the story and I go into nerd mode and I just explain all the code and all the unique whiz-bang things. They don't care about that. But they do care about the market. They do care how this product will actually solve the problem for the end user. So in this case, I use people. I use the actual person. If I'm developing software for fintech, I say, hey, look, a fintech startup founder from Boulder, Colorado, Sarah, biotech engineer from LA. I try to make them picturable as people. And then I just do before and after, right? Keeping it as part of the story. Sarah used to do this. It was super painful. It was really expensive and annoying. Now she does this, and it's awesome. So I'm using that product as the transformation, right? As part of the story to the market, and that's how I present it. Otherwise, I'm just talking about a bunch of features and that's it. Now, one thing to keep in mind too, as you describe this product with features, is to use what I call FAB, which is feature, not just a feature. Because a feature without a feature is just like, well, what does that mean, right? Like a backup camera in a car, well, what does that actually mean? There's an advantage to that, which is the A, and there's a benefit to that. So if you look at this table, in a car, remote start, the advantage is you don't have to get in the car. Like you can do it while not in the car. But that's just the advantage that you get. But the real benefit is to warm up the car on the cold days, right? And backup camera the same way. It's like you don't have to turn around, but the benefit is you don't hit children or vehicles or, save money on car insurance. Same with navigation system, blah, blah, blah. So you can see this anytime you're writing out these product features in your product solution. Make sure you're using that feature, advantage, benefit. What does that feature actually mean? What advantage does it give me? And ultimately, what benefit does it give me? One way to do this really easy is just any one of your features, just say so that, right? So write a feature out and say Tesla has an electric charging system that can reach full charge in 15 minutes so that drivers can get back on the highway quickly. All they did that was connect to the reason why. Well, who cares if it's full charge? What does that actually mean, right? And this is a more obvious example, but for some examples, some features maybe aren't as obvious. So adding that so that connects it, and you're not guessing that they actually understand what the benefit is. So you just add that so that, and it's really easy. And then the last thing is don't try to do it live. Always record it. If you watch this Steve Jobs, he actually ends up throwing that camera into the audience because it doesn't work. So typically, if I have some complexity or I'm going to have to worry about internet speed, I'm just going to do a screen share of that and play. That way then, I don't have to worry about anything, don't have to worry about internet or anything breaking or bugs, which always happen on these things. So that's the one bit of advice, is just record it, don't try to get clever.